Can I see you a minute, please? Can I see you a minute, please? Can I see you a minute, please? Can I see you a minute, please?
¿A dónde está papi? 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 ¿A dónde está papi?
Welcome to the Wednesday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Wednesday. Welcome, everybody. Derry Bennett, Quad Bennett, welcome. Michael Hassler, Heat, how's it going? Welcome, everybody. Sorry about that. Whew. Once again, folks, I do apologize. Today's stream is going to be short, sweet, and to the point, just like yesterday and the day before. Although I will say that I am turning the corner, so to speak. My back is not hurting as much as it has been, although it's still incredibly uncomfortable. So yeah, that is good. Yeah, for a minute there, this is already day 4. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, it's about day. It's basically day 5. And it's finally moving in the right direction. Whew. In any case, so yeah, if you see me adjusting myself, it's not comfortable, folks. It's amazing what the body can heal that by itself. Yes. Yeah. I'm pretty sure what happened upon further introspection. I'm pretty sure what happened is I probably did some kind of bad movement while getting rid of an invasive tree. That's probably what did it, to be honest. Should streamer get a back checkup? The answer to that is yes, but yes if it persists. Hold on. Because for a second there, I thought that that was going to end up being the case. But apparently if you pull your back... So, sorry, where I was going with this. So, what I think happened is that I did some kind of bad movement trying to get rid of a invasive tree in the backyard. And I basically pulled my back, or pulled the muscle in my back. I'm convinced that that's basically what happened. And according to research, preliminary research, it does take a minute for that kind of stuff to heal. A pulled back can take anywhere from days or maybe even weeks. So, yeah, that probably explains what happens. Should he? Yes. Will he? Nah. Can he? Can he? Also, nah. In any case, the good news is that it is moving in the right direction. So, that being said, folks, let's get this show started. Before we get started, don't forget, if you want to support the channel, there are many different ways you can do so. You can follow the stream here on Twitch, as a good amount of you have already done so. It's 2,383 of you have already done so. It definitely does help us out. For the folks on YouTube, keep liking the stream. I see you guys. Keep liking the stream. It really does help us out. And subscribe while you're there. I appreciate you guys. Consider checking out the merch store and join the Discord, folks. There's wonderful people there. ! Discord. We do monthly movie nights and impromptu movie nights as well. So just feel free to hang out there. All right, folks, let's get started. I think we should probably start here. I think this is a good place to start.
His chance of not being reelected, I think at this point is so great because of those numbers.
Filmmaker Michael Moore was on CNN and delivered what I think is an incredibly important message to President Joe Biden. That, of course, he likely will not hear, will not care, but this is the kind of advice that he should be listening to, especially given the context of what Michael Moore has predicted in the past and the context of what is going on right now. So before I get to the clip, this is what is going on right now. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken, this is from Monday, 2 days ago. Anthony Blinken says the leadership in Gaza is the only thing standing in the way of a ceasefire after extraordinarily generous Israeli offer. 2 days ago. This is today from Barak Ravid, an Axios reporter. Netanyahu told Blinken during their meeting today that he won't accept a deal that will include ending the war. Meaning Netanyahu is against any kind of ceasefire.
Right. And the reason why he's against any type of ceasefire is because the moment this ends, he's got to face the music. So he has every incentive to keep this going, no matter how many civilians die, no matter what. If it means start a conflict with Iran, so be it. If it means starting a conflict with Hezbollah, so be it. Anything anything that keeps him in power, that's what he's going to do. Yep, he is a psychopath. The results are in. Hey, how come I didn't see them? That's not fair. Boo. It went away? 2 for yes. Okay, so the yeses have it. Should streamer get a back checkup? Yeah, I suppose if it doesn't get better, then yes, that will be the case.
It's very important to drive this point home because I think this has been often lost in just the months of coverage of this. There has been a ceasefire deal on the table since October from Gaza that Netanyahu has rejected again and again and again. This is an article from November from The Guardian. Netanyahu rejected ceasefire for hostages deal in Gaza. This was for... So the original deal on the table involved freeing children, women, and elderly and sick people in exchange for a 5-day ceasefire. But the Israeli government turned this down and demonstrated its rejection with the launch of the ground offensive. This was just a 5-day ceasefire. And even still, Netanyahu rejected this. This goes on to January. From the Financial Times here. Israeli hostage relatives storm parliament as Benjamin Netanyahu rejects Gaza truce. So the families in Israel are very aware what Netanyahu is doing here. That this deal is on the table, that he is rejecting it simply for his political benefit.
Correct. I also have wait and see health insurance. How do they have so many weapons after all this time? Yeah. I wonder.
Because once this ends, once Israel's bombardment of Gaza ends, Netanyahu is gone. He's being held up by a far-right faction in Israel. He is serving that far-right faction by continuing this ongoing bombardment. If he stops that, if he brings peace, he's done. He is prioritizing his own position over the lives of these hostages. This gets to February.
Yeah, 100%. He doesn't care about the hostages, and he certainly doesn't care about. Excuse me. He certainly doesn't care about civilian deaths at all.
Once again, Netanyahu rejects Gaza ceasefire deal and says victory is within reach. This was a deal to release all of the hostages. And once again, Netanyahu is the one that rejected it.
Right. And he recently just said that he is going to do that invasion into Rafah with or without the support of the United States, with or without any type of negotiations or deals, with or without a ceasefire, assuming that he would agree to one. It doesn't matter. He's going into Rafah. Nothing is dissuading him from doing so. As soon as he's out, I hope he gets to go to prison for life. Me too. There are some rumblings that the International Court of Justice may put out some some warrants, and of course the United States has said they would sanction if that happens, but sounding like a U2 song up in here, with or without you.
He is the barrier to peace here. Now,
hey, it's Ruben Gallego. We just heard the news. Senator Sinema is not running for re-election. We need you to send $5 right now.
Right now.
Before I get to the Michael Moore clip, the reason why this applies, or why this is relevant to Joe Biden, is because the U.S. government are the ones that are both funding and supplying the far right-wing Israeli government.
Correct. Yeah, don't think, just give me $5. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Stop. I need you to stop right now and give me $5, okay? Well, to be honest, I think Ruben Gallego is definitely a better alternative to Carrie Lake in terms of Senate. I just thought that was hilarious. Sorry.
And Netanyahu with weapons, for their ability to continue this ongoing bombardment, for their ability to continue rejecting a ceasefire deal. If there were some strings attached here, if there was any attempt at all to put conditions on aid to Israel, that would, at the very least, be an attempt to try and stop what Netanyahu is doing here. This gets to Michael Moore on CNN.
There's a CNN poll that showed today 80.
Yeah. So the poll that she's about to talk about, because I already know exactly what she's talking about. I haven't seen this video, but I have seen this poll, and it's not good. Especially when you see the compare. I don't know if she's gonna bring this up, this news anchor, but especially when you compare to the same polls or to the same timeline in 2020, it's not good. Not good. Not great.
81% of voters who are under the age of 35 disapprove of how President Biden has been handling this war. I mean, we're seeing it on campuses. There is a question of what we're going to see in November. I wonder what you think he should be doing differently to change those numbers.
Thank you for asking that question, Caitlin. This is why I was when I got the call asking if I'd like to come on tonight, I really was coming on. I know we're speaking to millions of people, but I'd like to speak to one particular individual, and that is President Biden. I wanted to say this on your show tonight that
Cav, howdy. Welcome.
His chance of not being reelected, I think at this point is so great because of those numbers, because he's losing the youth vote. He's lost the Arab American vote in Michigan. So even Michelle Goldberg in a column in the New York Times last month said that you lose Michigan, you lose the election. I am fighting to make sure that doesn't happen. I am trying to save Joe Biden because as soon as he does the right thing.
Indeed, it's been a while, but that's okay. I'm glad you're back.
As soon as and if you're listening, watching Mr. Biden, fellow Catholic, although some will say recovering in my case, but still we are Catholics, and the Pope is right on this. We need an immediate ceasefire. It is wrong. A mass slaughter of innocents, of children, of women, of the elderly is a sin. It is absolutely against what we believe in. I know you know that too. I know that's why you're not really happy with what Netanyahu
It's also against international law. It's abhorrent, yada, yada, yada. I mean,
has done here. And you can stop the killing tonight. You pull the plug, you close the bank, you shut it down.
All right. Now, what Michael Moore is saying here is, of course, exactly on point. There's a bit of a cheesiness to this simply because he's acting like he's talking to Joe Biden. Joe Biden is not listening. He doesn't care. But this is the kind of message that people need to hear, that people with Biden's ear need to hear and need to utilize themselves when talking with Joe Biden. And
yeah, there's 6 months left to the election, man. There's 6 months left. Like the time frame to actually, the time frame needed to produce the results at this point, it is so small. The time frame left that, like, yeah, he's trying to appeal to his Catholic side. Like literally anything, dude. Anything to stop what's happening. I'm a completely different political person now.
And those that are around him. Because this is Michael Moore. His history on, I wouldn't call them predictions because they're informed opinions, but his history is clear on the last several elections. He made a once shocking prediction that Trump would win long before anyone else thought that was possible. He went on to say that Trump would likely mess with the 2020 election, which he did after he lost, and claimed that he didn't lose.
100% he did. He started that even before even the first ballot was even cast. He messed with the election before a single ballot was cast by saying that if he loses the election, then this was going to be rigged. It was going to be rigged.
And then he also predicted that Democrats would win big at the midterms,
which
a
also
lot of media
happened.
was saying the opposite, and Democrats did win big at the midterms. This is Michael Moore's message here. It goes right in line with not even just, of course, young voters generally, but also it's important, again, to counter the narrative that because you're Jewish, you must support what the Israeli government is doing. That's insane. This is from the Jerusalem Post. Nearly half of young Jewish voters feel Biden overly supports Israel. Jewish voters understand, Jewish people understand that what the Israeli government does not represent them, and they don't want it to represent them. As I've discussed many times, a lot of the voices in the protests going on right now, and just generally the anger and the criticism of both Biden's support of Netanyahu and the criticism of Netanyahu himself, a lot of that is organized by Jewish voices. There's Jewish Voice for Peace, independent Jewish voices. A lot of Jewish groups are the ones at the forefront of the human rights fight for Palestinians. So it's important not to conflate the two things here as if they're the same. And I've done enough videos discussing all this. I hope it's obvious at this point that they're not the same. But if you're new to this, they are very different things. And it's important, once again, to ensure that people understand what needs to be done, both to end the mass slaughter of civilians in Gaza, but also if you're someone that is afraid of a Trump presidency again, the best thing to do is not to try and talk down to people who are vocally critical of the obvious garbage that Biden is supporting, but instead use your voice to join them in the fight against what is going on right now, and ensure there is pressure put on the Biden administration to put some pressure on the Israeli government to end this mass slaughter.
Correct. Correct. Like if you're actually if you're actually concerned, as most of us are, about a potential Trump presidency, then you should be one of the biggest voices asking Biden to stop. Asking Biden to stop.
Down to the wire. We were
All right, folks, let's shift gears here. Good news, everybody.
down to the wire this week, folks. In the state of Florida, the filing deadline to run in the August 20th primary was just hours away. And Matt Gaetz, for the first time ever, had no primary challengers. He thought it was smooth sailing. I'm cruising to an easy re-election because, as I've always said, Matt Gaetz is not going to lose this district. This is a hard right Republican district. Even with the allegations against him, he easily cruised to re-election in 2022. So the only threat to Matt Gaetz could come from inside the Republican Party itself. And hours before that filing deadline, that threat to Matt Gaetz emerged. A man by the name of Aaron Dimmick filed to...
That's hilarious. That's absolutely hilarious.
Run against Matt Gaetz in that August 20th Republican primary in this district here in Florida. And Matt Gaetz immediately lost his mind. He was furious that he has a primary challenger and immediately went on the attack against this man, accusing him of being a supporter of Black Lives Matter. He's a supporter of diversity, equity, and inclusion training. What a liberal in conservative clothing is basically what Matt Gaetz was saying.
Yeah, that's the classic, right? Rhino. People physically blocking passage to school and education is violence, and now the left says it's not. That's not violence. You want to know what violence is? Violence is having like the police state boot stomping protesters who are protesting genocide. Essentially, what they're protesting is they rightfully want their education institution to not be in connection with, in any way, shape, or form, with the Israeli government, which I think is more than fair. Yeah, that's correct. You know what else is violent? The Zionist counter protesters who are, shooting fireworks and attacking and assaulting these people. So yeah, I don't know. Like blocking a physically blocking a passage is not violence. Boot stomping protesters, that's violence.
And he backed it up with an article from the Daily Caller, that highly reputable organization, claiming all of these things about Dimmick. But then Matt Gaetz hit on something that might actually be, something that could be true. Matt Gaetz alleges in his new conspiracy that, honestly, I will admit I kind of agree with it, but Matt Gaetz is saying that Kevin McCarthy, right, the former speaker that Matt Gaetz ousted last year, leading to McCarthy retiring from Congress altogether, he believes that Mr. Dimmick was put up to this, running against him, by McCarthy himself. McCarthy is so mad at Matt Gaetz, which we all know, that is a fact, that he found this guy, convinced him to run. They apparently have some kind of link to, some kind of political action committee via a treasurer that they somehow have a shared connection with. It's a weird conspiracy. But again, I'm not one to buy into conspiracies, but I do kind of like this. I do think there's probably a lot of truth to what Matt Gaetz is saying about this conspiracy. But I think there's more to it. If Matt Gaetz is right, he's not quite right for the right reasons. This is not just about getting back at Matt Gaetz and now forcing him to go through a primary. Kevin McCarthy knows things. Kevin McCarthy is still in very close contact with those Republicans on the House Ethics Committee, the very same House Ethics Committee that, as we all know, is currently investigating Matt Gaetz. And at some point,
Are they still investigating? Are they still investigating Matt Gaetz?
they're going to release a report. Kevin McCarthy, even though he hasn't been in Congress since the end of December, already knows what's going to be in that report. He went to D.C. a couple weeks ago and met with those guys. Kevin McCarthy, I am fully convinced, not only knows what's in the report, but he knows when that report is going to come out. So Kevin McCarthy likely saw his opportunity to get rid of Matt Gaetz. With no primary challengers, there was nobody to oust Matt Gaetz in a primary if a damning report came out against him. But now that Republicans in this area will have a choice, suddenly you can drop that report, bloody up Matt Gaetz's reputation to the point of no return, and Republicans in the district still have a person with an R next to their name to vote for. I think if Matt Gaetz' conspiracy is correct, that Kevin McCarthy is behind it, I think it's because McCarthy knows something is about to come out in that ethics committee report that is going to destroy Matt Gaetz' career. Now, maybe I'm sounding conspiratorial myself.
I mean, honestly, anything that ruins Matt Gaetz is fine by me.
But in this day and age with the Republican infighting and the backstabbing and all that, anything is possible. Well, folks,
I hope so. Gavers is cool again. This sounds like this is all like gossip. Yeah, but it makes sense. Of course we're making assumptions here. We're making assumptions based off breadcrumbs that we kind of know about the situation, but anything that could potentially ruin Matt Gaetz' career is a-okay by me, including a primary challenger. Gaetz should be in prison. I agree. Very sussy stuff coming out of that guy. Let's take a look.
Welcome to Inside Politics. I'm Dana Bash. We start with destruction, violence, and hate on college campuses across the country. This was the scene just a short while ago at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Police clashing with protesters. 12 people were arrested. Hours earlier, protests rocked the University of Arizona, where campus police used chemical irritant munitions to remove protesters. Around the same time at UCLA,
this is bad.
Pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian groups were attacking each other, hurling all kinds of objects, a wood pallet, fireworks, parking cones, even a scooter.
Who, though?
And before that, the NYPD was able to clear Columbia University after protesters barricaded themselves inside a campus building. 300 people were arrested at Columbia and City College of New York. But it is unclear how many were actually students. New York City Mayor Eric Adams warned this morning that professional outside agitators are getting involved.
There is a movement to radicalize young people, and I'm not going to.
Yeah, I'm not going to give any evidence or any context to this whatsoever. I'm just going to say these things, and people are just going to have to believe me, right? Yeah. Okay. That guy believes everything he reads on Facebook.
Wait until it's done, and all of a sudden acknowledge the existence of it. This is a global problem.
A global problem. Oh.
Young people are being influenced by those who are professionals at radicalizing our children, and I'm not going to allow that to happen.
What?
the mayor of the city of New York.
Many of these protests started peacefully with legitimate
Yeah, see, those fireworks are being thrown by the Zionist counter protesters. Police removing people blocking access to paying students wanting to go to school is a good thing.
questions about the war, but in many cases, they lost the plot. They're calling for a ceasefire. Well, there was a ceasefire on October 6th, the day before Hamas terrorists brutally murdered.
I'm sorry. What? There was no ceasefire before October 7th. What is she on about?
More than 1,000 people inside Israel and took hundreds more as hostages. This hour, I'll speak to an American-Israeli family whose son is still held captive by Hamas since that horrifying day that brought us to this moment. You don't hear.
Yeah, so we went from like, hey, these people are protesting like, you know, the genocide that is currently going on. Yeah, let's turn around and talk about what happened on October 7th. B, lie about it, and C, let's completely forget about what this whole thing is about. And let's talk to a Israeli family here. Prior to October 2023 was the deadliest year for Palestinians in a decade.
Hear the pro-Palestinian protesters talking about that. We will. Now, protesting the way the Israeli government, the Israeli prime minister is prosecuting the retaliatory war against Hamas is one thing. Making Jewish students feel unsafe at their own schools.
Where is this happening? Can we get an example of this?
Is unacceptable, and it is happening way too much.
Can we get an example, please?
Right now.
I'm a UCLA student. I deserve to go here. We pay tuition. This is our school, and they're not letting me walk in. My class is over there. I want to use that entrance. Why can't I go? Will you let me go in? This could be over in a second. Just let me and my friends go in.
Again, what you just saw.
Will you let me go in?
Is unacceptable, and it is happening way too much right now.
I'm a UCLA student. I deserve to go here. We pay tuition. This is our school, and they're not letting me walk in. My class is over there. I want to use that entrance. Why can't I go? Will you let me go in? This could be over in a second. Just let me and my friends go in.
Again, what you just saw is 2024 in Los Angeles.
Yeah, they weren't letting him in because they're protesting, not because he's Jewish. Yeah, Jewish people,
Harkening
Jewish
back
students
to
are at the protest too.
1930s in Europe. And
Yeah,
I do
true,
not-
true. True, dude, true. being blocked at campus is just like 1930s Germany, just the same, the exact same, just like the Nazis. Got it.
Say that lightly. The fear among Jews
But you just did.
in this country is palpable right now.
Yeah, palpable. Dude was mad because he couldn't get to the other side of campus. Okay? That wasn't fear, and he wasn't being harassed because he was Jewish. Jesus Christ. This is completely irresponsible. This is disgusting. Who are those people walking behind them? I don't know. How did this lady escape from the Fox News channel? I don't know. It's CNN. I'm pretty sure it was CNN. Yeah, it was CNN. Dana's been on CNN a long time. CNN has been trying to court conservative viewers for a long time. So they managed to get a single, like, you want to talk about freaking violence? They managed to get this one person and pummel this one person. These are the counter protesters, the Zionist pro-Israeli government protesters. Here's a question. Do you see any cops? Do you see any cops trying to stop these people? No.
Did pro-Palestine encampment.
Wait, check out the.
Did pro-Palestine encampment.
Wait, check out the LA Times headline now. Much more ambiguous. No. Dude, are you serious? Well, consent is manufactured, everybody, right before your eyes. After violent
did pro-Palestine encampment.
Cool. Yeah, dude, if the biggest thing that happened to you, the BBC did better. That's the headline I posted earlier. If the biggest thing that happened to you was that you had to like walk around or not be able to get to class for that day, then like because people are protesting genocide, like I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you. That's right. People are literally dying. Children are being starved to death. Yeah. Echo Rasta Dragon, welcome. But yeah, go on about how it's so inconvenient that class was canceled for you for one day. Or whatever. There are some stuff in the resources channel on the Discord if you want to check it out. There are some resources that you can check out, but I just wanted to plug this tweet in real quick. So in a cool show of solidarity, the UAW chapter here posted this earlier this morning. earlier today. Last night, students and workers peacefully protesting at UCLA for justice in Palestine were physically attacked by a group of 100 counter-protesters. UC's failure to protect students and workers is an abdication of its responsibility. The UAW 4811 members are mobilizing in response. Local 872 members stand with our union siblings at the UAW 4811 after the despicable and violent attacks on them by right-wing agitators last night. It is unfathomable that UCLA would stand by and let this happen. We'll be an arm in arm with you fighting for accountability. So, yeah, again, the fact that like these people are trying to put it as like, oh, there's violence erupting, and it's literally the Zionists, and the cops are doing absolutely nothing. The cops will gladly like curb stomp the protesters that are at these universities, the students and their faculty. They have no problem. Curb stomping those people violently. But when these Zionists come in and start attacking the protesters, the cops are nowhere to be found. That's cool. That's nice. It really goes to show the disparity. Can you send that link again, Heat, the BBC link? Time me out because I have a different opinion. It's proven to me that you're all extremists. True. Oh yeah, this is it, isn't it? Yeah, horrific violence at UCLA after counter-protesters attacked the pro-Palestinian camp. Violence erupted at the UCLA after pro-Israeli counter-demonstrators attacked the pro-Palestinian campus encampment. Bubbling tensions on the campus boiled over after the alleged breach of a buffer zone between the rival groups. In other words, the cops didn't do anything. Fireworks and tear gas flew through the night skies. Mass counter-protesters attempted to tear down the barricades and struck campers with sticks and bats. Protesters have said that police are slow to respond after the violence started. Law enforcement called to the scene was guarding the space as morning broke. The overnight clash at one of America's top public colleges took place only hours after police in New York have raided and cleared Columbia University, taken over by students. Right, and like the mayor was saying that there's outside that there was outside professional agitators when they were just students. Protests at Columbia against the war in Gaza have inspired similar actions at universities, small and large, public and private, in more than 24 states, with protesters demanding that institutions cut financial ties with Israel and companies profiting from the war. That's literally it. That's all they're asking for, is to make sure that their university that they're going to, and incidentally paying tuition to, doesn't fund or have any type of financial ties with the state of Israel as they commit this ethnic cleansing. It seems to be over for real now. Mario Sacco, the UCLA vice chancellor, and said police and other first responders were immediately called to the scene of encampment over horrific acts of violence early Wednesday morning. By who? We are sickened by the senseless violence and it must end. Classes were canceled on Wednesday. The university declared the tent camp on Dickinson Plaza an illegal gathering on Tuesday, but declined to involve law enforcement in disrupting what is called a largely peaceful demonstration. Right, so the only reason it hasn't been peaceful is because these counter-protesters, these Zionist counter-protesters, have been attacking and assaulting these people. That's what's happening here. And the audacity for like the media to try to portray this so dishonestly, it's pretty disgusting. It seems to be over for real now. You mean like the election? I'm basically doomering 24/7 about this election now. There's only 6 months left. There's only 6 months left. It'll be over. Footage online appears to show a large group of counter-protesters donning black outfits and white masks arriving on campus just before midnight on Tuesday and attempting to dismantle the barriers. Campers, some wearing goggles and helmets and others carrying placards and umbrellas, rallied to defend their makeshift space, with clashes erupting in the shadow of famed Royce Hall for at least 2 hours. Officers who arrived in riot gear did not appear to immediately break up the two sets of protesters, but slowly cleared the area as dawn broke. Carpe, welcome. I'm voting green in Cali. Suck it, Zionist. Tonight, they escalated to a whole new level and they started to incite violence, said one pro-Palestinian activist, student activist told the BBC. He said her group had faced relentless aggression over several days. Law enforcement simply stood at the edge of the lawn and refused to budge as we screamed for their help. Yeah, the cops aren't coming to help you. The cops aren't here to help you. When the protesters actually got attacked, such as this image shows, the cops did not do anything about it. Several people who spoke to U.S. media also said police did not step in to protect students as the attack was taking place. You want to talk about, like, outside agitators? Yeah. I think the point is clear. The point is made. He has the mask, but KFC doesn't have a smaller bucket. Photo 1 is of the NYPD lined up in dark navy shirts and light khaki pants before storming the building at Columbia. Neo-Nazis in West Virginia like 3 days ago wearing dark navy shirts and light khaki pants. Yeah, that's why they chose that. This is Patriot Front. This is Patriot Front. This is a fascist organization. So it only makes sense that they model themselves, after a fascist institution, right? Yeah, Patriot is code for white supremacist. Definitely in this in this context for today, for this day and age. That makes football more interesting. The New England white supremacists. I'm confused by the flying of American flag rebel flags, and apparently they are too. Welcome, Cognizant. They should pick one. They have both to cover their bases. They should get pride flags too. Now they believe that they believe in white supremacy, so it makes sense that they believe it makes sense that they carry both flags. Marjorie Taylor Greene says she'll force vote over Speaker Johnson's ouster next week. Oh man. The drama, folks. The drama. Marjorie Taylor Greene has held this over Johnson's head for quite a bit now, and for a moment there, I think it was going to fizzle out, or at the very least, I thought that she was just going to drop it. But apparently, that may not be the case. No drama. The Dems will save him. Yeah, I expect them to. Even though that's not what they should be doing. Like, strategically, it doesn't even make any sense, like, politically. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene announced Wednesday today that she will force a vote over House Speaker Johnson's ouster next week, a move that comes after Democrats have said that they will vote to kill the effort and ensure Johnson doesn't lose his job. Thanks, Dems. I think every member of Congress needs to take that vote and let the chips fall where they may, and so next week I am going to be calling this motion to vacate. Absolutely calling it. Greene's decision puts an end to weeks of speculation of whether she would move forward to trigger the consequential vote. The move escalates pressure on Johnson and sets up a major showdown on the House floor, even though the vote is expected to fail. Johnson has defended his leadership against the threat, saying that he will not resign and warning that a vote to oust him could cause chaos in the House. Honestly, the Dems really should. The Dems really should threaten to vote him out. Since, by the way, just to be clear, if it was on the opposite side, the Republicans would all unite and vote the Dem speaker out. Okay, let us be very clear. If the roles were reversed, the Republicans would unite and vote the Dem speaker out. Quote, the motion is wrong for the Republican conference, wrong for the institution, and wrong for the country, the speaker said in a statement after Greene's announcement. Many Republicans opposed the push to oust Johnson and did not want to see the House GOP conference devolve into disarray like it did after former Speaker Kevin McCarthy was ousted in a historic and unprecedented vote last year. See, like, that's the thing. The Dems should be capitalizing on this. The Dems should jump on this immediately. The Dems should be like, hey, if you guys want to make this into another circus, that's your problem. And you're going to have to explain to the American people why you are incapable of governing and why this keeps happening to your speakers. And as a bonus, it is possible, given the fact that they're so it's so razor thin. I think they're at a one vote majority. It is possible that they could land a Dem speaker. Although not although low, it is possible. It's more possible than it was last time. Greene on Wednesday insisted she is absolutely not defying former President Trump, even though Trump has defended Johnson by forcing the vote. I'm the biggest supporter of President Trump. She said, I fight for his agenda every single day, and that's why I'm fighting here against my own Republican conference. Green also has said that she has not made a decision yet if she will force repeated votes on the issue if the vote fails next week. I support Trump. Cool story, dude. You're not going to last very long here, I can tell you that. Green also said she's not made a decision yet. She'll force repeated votes on the issue if the vote fails next week. I haven't made a decision on that yet. Green originally filed the motion to oust Johnson in March amid conservative anger over the Louisiana Republicans' handling of the government funding right. What happened to freedom of speech, bro? That doesn't exist in my personal channel, dude. My personal channel are my rules. This is my house, okay? So what I say goes here. Does that make sense? There's no freedom of speech in this channel. It's a private channel. Jesus Christ. What happened to freedom of speech, bro? Nothing happened to freedom of speech. This is true. You do have the freedom of speech. Yeah, free. Free Israel. I didn't even see that. I didn't even catch that. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I happened to freedom of speech. Bro, what happened to freedom of speech? Nothing happened. By the way, your First Amendment has not gone away because you can't say what you want in a private channel. In a private citizen's channel, I should say. That's so funny. You mean I can't just say what I want in your space? No. No, you can't. All these constitutional scholars on Twitch chat. Yeah, true. True. I, the government, okay? I, the government, right? Is single-handedly eliminating freedom of speech. Anyways, even if they're, even if they're just talking colloquially, no, you're in my house, and there are rules in this channel. And in fact, the only rules that matter are mine. If I say that I don't want people saying the word blue, I can ban them for saying the word blue. I don't know. It just seems so funny to me that people think that they can come in here and dictate what you can do with your channel. They have Congress exactly where they want it, 50-50 split. With the GOP in charge, the legislation goes nowhere. Dems are not expected to do anything. Emergency bills get rammed through with no debate to free the war machine. And both parties can bellyache about each other, endlessly taking valuable airtime away from stories which really matter. Yep, and again, at the end of the day, nothing gets done. So, yeah, it all works out. It all works out for the people that need it to work out for. I now ban people for coming in with lame starters. Like, honestly, like, if you're gonna be a troll, like, you're gonna have to be entertaining. You're gonna have to be entertaining. But yeah, I think that was a fair ban. That's not okay to ask. That's not okay to ask if said streamer or said, content creator or said chatter, whatever, like the first message or one of the first messages shouldn't be like, are you single? That's kind of a weird, like, don't do that. Okay? Don't go into people like this is just a public service announcement. Don't go into people's chats and ask random people, whether it be chatters or content creators, if they're single or not. That's just like that. Just don't do that. Okay? Be better. Be better. That had nothing to do with what we were talking about. It's very thirsty looking. It's just inappropriate. It's weird, okay? It's weird, especially if like you've never been in this channel and that's like your second message. Okay? It's just to stop. Just don't do that, okay? Like, don't do that. I don't know. Anyways, Green originally filed a motion to oust Johnson in March amid conservative anger over the Louisiana Republicans' handling of the government funding fight. If I'm not single, I'm triple. I will not explain any further. Thank you. A floor vote to oust Johnson would require a majority to succeed, but it can still be preempted. A motion to table or kill the resolution could be offered and voted on first. That would also only require a simple majority to succeed. House GOP leaders plan to quickly take up and kill Green's motion, according to GOP sources. Green has yet to specify which day she plans to go to the floor and call for a vote. GOP sources say they could vote the same day if she offers it, depending on attendance. After Johnson moved last month to pass a major foreign aid package that includes aid for Ukraine, House Democratic leadership announced that the Democrats would help Johnson keep his job by voting to table if the issue arose. We will vote to table Marjorie Taylor Greene's motion to vacate the chair. If she invokes the motion, it will not succeed. Cool. Nice. Nice. Very nice. You know. But on Wednesday, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries would not commit to having Democrats save Johnson from multiple attempts to oust him if there are repeated attempts. Jeffries said the Democratic caucus will take it one step at a time. Green railed against Johnson on Wednesday for roughly 10 minutes, taking issue with his support for Ukraine and focusing on the recent announcement that the House Democrats would vote to kill her effort to oust him. Now we have a House Democratic leader, Hakeem Jeffries, and the Democrats coming out embracing Mike Johnson with a warm hug and a big wet sloppy kiss. This is an actual quote. This is an actual quote. She'll just be angry with egg on her face, which is also fine. Yeah, I mean, like, listen, if she just keeps, if this makes her big mad, and she refiles the motion to vacate over and over again, then like that's fine by me too. Okay, that's fine by me too. Green said she didn't trigger the motion previously because she was being controlled and responsible. Quote, I was being conscious and caring about my conference in our majority. It was a warning to stop serving the Democrats and support our Republican conference and support our agenda. Yeah, and what a, no better way of demonstrating that Mike Johnson is in with the Democratic Party by the Dems jumping to his defense. That's right, Marge. You show them. You know what? If the Dems do decide, against common sense, do decide to defend Mike Johnson, then you should continue to file that motion to vacate. And he didn't do it. And we all went home, and Republican voters everywhere, Americans, were raging at Mike Johnson. Raging, I tell you. During the news conference, Green put a Make Ukraine Great Again hat on a photo of Johnson and Jeffries. A wide range of House Republicans immediately pushed back on Green's plan. I disagree with that, said Representative Ralph Norman of South Carolina, a member of the Conservative Fascist Caucus. She had every right to do it, but this is not the time. Who's in line to take over and who wants the job? And I really hate, with all the problems we're facing now, you see what's going on at campuses, we got an election coming up. What? However, Norman acknowledged that he's still frustrated with Johnson's job performance so far. We expected more when Mike took office, and I like him personally. He's a very devout man, but the reason he's getting the criticism is because they expected him to fight. My dude, you guys have a one member advantage, okay? You can't get anything done, presumably, unless like everybody's on the same page, and you don't have and you have Dem support. That's just the way it's gonna be. You need Democratic support to make anything happen. But they don't seem to understand that. I wish it was really called the American Fascist Caucus. I mean, it basically is. That's the way. That's what I'm calling them. That's what I'm calling them. Representative Mark Molinaro, a vulnerable Republican from New York, accused Green of simply wanting more attention, which is, not inaccurate exactly. Not entirely inaccurate. He continued, quote, Mike Johnson will sustain the speakership. The speaker acknowledges the reality that we live in and has been focused on conservative principles, acknowledging that we have to negotiate with another branch and another house that doesn't see the world, all the issues, the same way we do. Greg Pence of Indiana was also disappointed with Green's announcement. Quote, I wish you wouldn't. We've got more important things to work on instead of that. No, I think this is what you should be focusing on, to be honest. I see what the things I see what the important things you want to work on are, and I'm not too keen on that. So yeah, he called the last speaker fight terribly painful and unproductive. Just like I like the Republican Party. That's exactly where I want the Republican Party. In terrible pain and unproductive. Quote, let's just move forward, Pence said, and no, God put our eyes in front of our heads so we would look forward, and she's looking back. Sure, dude. Sure. I'd rather have our government employed in more important things in general. Oh, yeah, like actual important things. Yeah, like I want our government trying to fix like poverty. I want our government trying to like bolster the working class. I want our government protecting, people's rights. That's what I want our government. That's what I want our government doing. Those are important things. Protecting people's rights, getting them health care. Tackling poverty, protecting the working class, like that's the kind of stuff that I want my government doing, and I would consider that important. But the things that Republicans consider important are the things that I don't want them doing. So I should have probably phrased it like that. In any case, that's what I meant. Yeah, actually functioning properly. Exactly. Actually functioning properly. I'm not buying stickers.
Will you Google the word dense and just put the definition up?
I feel like we should probably do this before we get into a more tougher story.
Will you Google the word dense and just put the definition up on the screen for me? I don't know if the kids are using this anymore as a way of saying that someone is not very bright. It is, I think it still is an informal, there you go. The first adjective definition of it as an adjective is it's closely compacted in substance, like a dense volcanic rock. The second one, which is more informal, is of a person is stupid. I introduced that concept because what I'm about to show you is about 35 seconds long. And the intensity and the sheer density of stupidity that is fit into this 35 seconds is fascinating.
It's concentrated.
It is so concentrated. It is the densest example of a dense person that I could give you. And
it's like a Tide Pod of idiocy.
It is like a Tide Pod within a Tide Pod. It's like a here is Dave Rubin with just whatever.
Yeah, like you can just stop right there, right? Like the segment could have just ended there, and like it would have been understood, okay? Because it really doesn't matter what comes after this. It's going to be true.
He's getting paid by the organization that sent him to Israel and bought him his mirrored sunglasses and his like his dress up IDF outfit. Is really getting their money's worth because he is willing to. Well, fortunately for him, he's not that bright, so it is probably not as painful as it should be to him. But listen to his explanation of what's going on and how he ties it into sort of COVID denialism.
Oh, man. We're in for a treat, aren't we?
It's fascinating. This only takes 35 seconds to express.
Who knows how many of those people are actually students? They're all masked, and I firmly believe now that COVID was just a test run to see how we could normalize masks so we could have jihadists out in...
What? Is it even worth explaining this? Right? Is it even worth explaining like the concept of why having some kind of facial barrier to stop, the spit with the COVID particles from coming out and in fact, like, do we even really need to like explain that? I mean, it's been how many years now and we're still at it, huh? Anyways,
in the streets, we don't know how many of them are, as I said, students, but how many of them are even citizens of the United States.
What? How many of them are even citizens of the United States?
Just try to imagine for...
No, they like to spread their germs in more than one way.
Just 1 second. If this was a group of white students screaming about black people, or if this was MAGA supporters burning down things at Columbia, Joe Biden would literally send in the National Guard, right?
Okay.
But the left does not know when the left goes too far. Who knows?
Okay. And we're going to have to play this again and break it down, but let's just start to the end. We just played you clips of New York City police department come with a vehicle I've never ever seen in my life. And it is some type of like a vehicle that has it's an NYPD branded vehicle that has a sort of ladder ramp type of situation where they brought in SWAT teams with shields to barge into this building to throw out these college students who were in fact college students.
Yep. Turns out.
We just watched footage of pro-Israel so-called protesters who really look more like thugs sent out to beat up protesters at UCLA while the fully militarized, geared up cops just watched them.
But it's the ultimate meaningless sort of distinction because, like, as it's been shown, these were all students and they don't care either. They still condemn it.
No, of course.
Right.
They're all students, and the National Guard or some iteration, maybe it was municipal and state as opposed to the National Guard, were in fact called out. In fact, the media is full of images of just seas of state cops, city cops.
I believe it was a Strategic Resources Group.
All and all.
That was made for anti-terror.
And it's just amazing how much stupidity just got in the last 12 seconds of that video. But let's get to the front part. The part where I don't even know if they're college students, as if that makes a difference to him. But this part about the COVID thing is and we should also say, I mean, putting aside the fact that all those UCLA pro-Israel sort of thugs also wearing ski masks, the cops all wearing ski masks.
As they arrest
professors. I mean,
right.
Maybe he hasn't been watching the news, but let's continue.
Who knows how many of those people are actually students? They're all masked, and I firmly believe now that COVID was just a test run to see how we could normalize masks so we could have jihadists out in the streets. We don't know how many of them.
Yeah. What? The amount of absurdity this man managed to squeeze out in seconds is astonishing, actually. It's impressive. It is impressive.
But stop. So now he firmly believes that COVID was a test run so we could have masks out in the street.
True.
So that we can hide the identities of jihadists. So presumably, COVID was deployed. COVID.
Right.
I'm just, using the parlance of the COVIDers. COVID was deployed by jihadists.
Yeah, true.
Like Fauci.
Fauci or whomever it was. And their idea was, hey, let's deploy a virus that will, of course, impact, everybody.
Yeah, the entire freaking planet. The Dave is a BS dispenser. Guy has no shame. Yeah, zero shame. Zero. Mainly it's because I think he's literally just too freaking stupid. He's this dude is genuinely an idiot. He can't be ashamed of what he's saying because he has no comprehension of just how absurd he sounds. Because if he did, I genuinely believe that he's just an idiot. He's not capable of having shame because he's literally just he's just too dumb to understand what's happening and too greedy. I mean, yeah, that's also true. Those paychecks keep coming in, so he doesn't have to worry.
And let's make it so that it kills just a couple of million people in the, 1.5 million in the U.S. instead of, let's say, 10 million or 50 million. Let's not take any credit for it. Let's not threaten the world with releasing another one. That would be too direct. Let's just use it as a way that people can use masks so they can't be doxxed at protests in the future to argue against an Israeli genocide of Palestinian people. Brilliant idea. You know what's so amazing about that idea, fellow jihadist, is that it's so indirect that nobody will be able to figure it out. You'd have to be an absolute genius on the level of Einstein to figure out this plan, because it's so obtuse and
high level. It's so one could even say the idea is high level.
And yes, it's under the radar. It's actually to the side of the radar.
To me, it looks like, people did a mask uptake, kind of like post-bird flu in Asia, because a respiratory virus is maiming people.
You're an idiot, Matt. If you don't...
Oh, man. Like, it's just so absurd. You just have to laugh. You just have to laugh.
Don't see that the jihadists did that as a test case to get you used to the concept of future pandemics.
Nobody had a
Did you understand
masks
that was it MERS? Was it SARS? SARS was just a way to open the door for COVID to get everybody wearing masks.
As a test run for the test run.
Mm-hmm. And this whole thing too with like asbestos remediation. Jihadists have been basically perpetrating this fraud.
True.
That asbestos is bad for your lungs, so that it can normalize people having masks, so that when COVID hit, there'd be a lot of people wearing N95 masks to allow jihadists to go protest in the future without being identified. You got to think this way. You got to think this through, Matt. Sorry. Is there nobody who works around Dave Rubin, who talks to Dave Rubin, who can sit him down and go like, dude, if you want to keep doing this, just do it, but just remove all sharp objects from your, like we're worried about you. You're going to poke your own eye out. That level of stupidity is just, nobody's that stupid who watches your show. And Rubin's like, I don't know about that.
They're going to really miss any mileage they can get out of the COVID stuff, because I feel like it's receding just very fast.
Oh.
And it's still their totem.
Oh, totally. I mean, all the crime folks, all the anti-vax folks, all the, the people, like, remember, like, all the this is an authoritarian play to shut down speech. Like, it's amazing that
the truthers, the real truthers out there.
The cops are doing this now when there's no COVID. It's so strange. The cops don't even have to say, like, don't catch COVID. That's why we're coming and knocking your heads in this encampment. All of these people who built their sort of like entire, business model around this stuff, they're going to be reaching back for this for years. And it'll work with a lot of their audience just because, Vince Foster worked up until a couple years ago. So it will work. And yes, 99% of you have no idea what I mean when I say Vince Foster. And that is because you're normal people.
You're good.
You're normal people. But if you really want to go look it up, be my guest. But understand that to be Vince Fostered was a verb amongst right-wing talkers as late as like 4 or 5 years ago.
Dan Loesch, I think, was the last.
Yep.
One.
I believe I believe people still believe him. That's true.
Unbelievable. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show.
Jesus. Sam giving me a jump scare there. All right. Folks, the next article is a bit of a heavy one, so the warning's coming up. The TW warning is coming up. New Orleans Archdiocese is target of a child sex trafficking inquiry. Yep, that's right. Not a drag queen. Not a drag queen. Not a member of the LGBTQ community. The Roman Catholic Archdiocese of New Orleans is the target of an active child sex trafficking investigation, according to a sweeping and unprecedented search warrant Louisiana State Police recently served on an organization that for decades has been submerged in the global church's clergy molestation scandal. The clerk at the state criminal courthouse where the warrant was signed released the 11-page document on Tuesday. Yesterday, it makes clear that troopers involved in a pending rape prosecution against one priest came to suspect that particular case was part of a broader pattern of widespread sexual abuse of minors dating back decades that was covered up and not reported to law enforcement. In a stunning assertion made under oath, troopers said they had already recovered documents that back the notion that previous archbishops, the highest-ranking officials in the archdiocese, not only knew of the abuse, sexual abuse, and failed to report all the claims to law enforcement, but spent archdiocese funding to support the accused. The warrant requests any and all documents that pertain in any way to the sexual abuse of a minor by clergy members employed or otherwise associated with the Archdiocese of New Orleans, concluding those records are believed to constitute a violation of the state's law against trafficking of children for sexual purposes. It also seeks any and all communication between the Archbishop of New Orleans and any department within the Vatican pertaining to child sexual abuse, among other files. The warrant refers to a 48-page memorandum first reported by The Guardian in summer of 2023, which summarized secret internal archdiocesan records that the church was required to produce after seeking federal bankruptcy protection in 2020 in order to shield itself from steadily growing wave of abuse-related litigation. The memo recounted how New Orleans' current Archbishop Gregory Amond repeatedly ignored his own advisors who suggested he discipline and severe and publicly reveal the identity of multiple priests and deacons facing substantial, credible accusations of abuse. Those decisions largely kept the public and law enforcement from learning of the accusations until they were reported by journalists years, if not decades, later. It also let clergymen facing substantial abuse allegations collect lucrative financial benefits that were not interrupted until a bankruptcy judge ordered them to cease, and then only partially with health and medical assistance ultimately left intact. Attorneys for victims of clerical sexual abuse gained access to documents forming the basis of that key memo because their client's case became part of the church's bankruptcy proceedings. Those lawyers handed the memo to law enforcement in 2022 when federal investigators assisted by state troopers began investigating the New Orleans clergy for possibly violating federal law by taking children across state line for the purpose of sexual abuse. Jesus Christ. The warrant released on Tuesday yesterday recounted how investigators had gathered statements from multiple victims transported outside of Louisiana where they were sexually abused. Quote, additionally, it was reported that in some instances, gifts were given to abuse victims by the accused, the molesters, with instructions to pass on or give the gift to certain priests at the next school or church, the warrant contended. It said that the gift was a form of signaling to another priest that the person was a target for sexual abuse. Oh, yikes. Whew. Jesus. The warrant also described how victims reported being brought to a seminar that trains Catholic priests in New Orleans adjacent to the city's archdiocese to swim it nude in the pool and get sexually assaulted or abused. Jesus Christ. Too bad hell isn't real. Yeah, like if there is a hell, these people are first in line. That's for sure. And even then, hell, the perceived version of hell might even be too good for them. It was discovered that this was to be a common occurrence, and it was reported that other members of the archdiocese were present at the pool at the time. The trooper's sworn statement maintained, although not all, many of the alleged sexual abuse cases or incidents occurred on archdiocese property. Such statements gave investigators reasonable suspicion of previous widespread sexual abuse, child sexual abuse, and determined that further investigation into the Archdiocese of New Orleans was necessary. The state trooper who obtained the warrant released on Tuesday was the same one who arrested the 92-year-old retired priest Lawrence Hecker on rape and kidnapping charges that a grand jury handed up against the clergyman in the fall. Hecker, who the church let quietly retire despite his acknowledging that he molested multiple children after meeting them in his ministry, during his ministry, has pleaded not guilty in connection with allegations that he strangled a teenage boy unconscious and then sodomized him while they were at a church in 1975. The warrant alludes to how the victim in that case reported his attack to his principal, Paul Calamari, but no legal action was taken. The trooper's sworn statement revealed that during the course of the Hecker investigation, they questioned Calamari, who was described but not named in this document. During the interrogation, Calamari confessed to molesting a child in the 1970s, an act which eventually led to his being included alongside Hecker in an archdiocese-related released list of priests and deacons whom the New Orleans Church considered to be credibly accused molesters. Since almost immediately following the roster's release, clergy abuse victims and their advocates have argued that the list omits countless names which should be on it. The church has been forced to add more than 20 names to that list since it was first published, in part because the investigations by CBS affiliate WWL Louisiana and its reporting partners that scrutinized clerics whose case fit that criteria. Amon released the credibly accused roster as the Archdiocese struggled to manage continued fallout from the worldwide church's ongoing clerical sexual abuse crisis. The search warrant, you want to know where the freaking groomers are? There you go. Are we gonna get a video, by these, OK groomer people? Are we gonna get a video on this? No, we're not. Are we gonna get a video or statement by people like Matt Walsh? No, we're not. The search warrant is believed to mark the first time authorities have sought the entire written history of the Archdiocese management of clergy abuse cases under its watch. New Orleans Judge Juana Lombard signed the warrant on April 22nd, and state police served it in a meeting with Archdiocese officials 3 days later. The Archdiocese did not immediately turn over any records, according to a church spokesperson. The state police had a prior, more limited set of records from the Archdiocese in connection with the prior court order related to Hecker's prosecution. On Tuesday, the church spokesperson said the Archdiocese of New Orleans has been openly discussing the topic of sex abuse for years, and in keeping with this, the spokesperson said, we are also committed to working with law enforcement in these endeavors. The court clerk was not able to get a copy of the warrant served on April 25th until Tuesday, as the police prevented the clerk from accessing the document and claimed the record was part of an ongoing criminal investigation. The court provided it to WWO and the Guardian in response to a public records request. Yeah. So this is where the real predators are. Nope. That's right. Not good enough, obviously. You want to know where the predators are? Democrats unveil big oil report after 3-year investigation. This one's important. A new report released yesterday by Senate and House Democrats alleged that large oil companies attempted to deceive the public about the effects of climate change for decades. Yeah. The documents back in the report are finally saying that they have lied after a 3-year investigation, which was stuck in limbo after Republicans took back the House in 2022. The joint 66-page report from the Senate Budget and House Oversight Committees claims some of the largest oil companies have internally acknowledged since the 1960s that fossil fuel caused climate change. Yeah. The Senate Budget Committee will hold a hearing about the report on Wednesday with Representative Jamie Raskin, the top Democrat of the House Oversight Committee, as a witness. The report comes at the same time the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has called on federal government to investigate the $60 billion merger between Exxon and Pioneer. Cool. Nice. That's cool that they're allowed to do that. The report argues that the oil industry has switched from denial of its impacts of climate change to a public relation campaigns of deception, disinformation, and doublespeak. 100%. 100%. The industry has portrayed natural gas as a climate-friendly bridge fuel while internally acknowledging that there is significant scientific evidence that the life cycle emissions from gas are as bad as coal. The report also says the fossil fuel industry, there's no such thing as clean fossil fuels, okay? It's not a thing, okay? There's no such thing as clean fossil fuels. The report also says that the fossil fuel industry has relied on trade organizations like the American Petroleum Institute and the Chamber of Commerce to lobby against action on climate change. Yeah, 100%. It also claims that Exxon, Chevron, Shell, and BP, along with API and the Chamber, obstructed this investigation. Not surprising. The report says lawmakers should hold the companies accountable for the findings of the report, but it does not make any specific suggestions, such as criminal referrals to the Department of Justice. The committee's findings furthered 2015 reporting from Inside Climate News and LA Times that revealed Exxon's internal research shows the industry's effects on climate change decades ago. And that was nearly 10 years ago, by the way. They are tired allegations that have already been publicly addressed through previous congressional hearings on the same topic and litigation in the courts, said Exxon, which they can go F themselves. A spokesperson for API told Axios that the report featured unfounded election year rhetoric. Bro, really? Not even like trying to defend the accusations. Just straight up saying like, oh, they're just playing kabuki theater because it's an election year. Yeah, okay, dudes. Organized religion, they either predate your mind, your body, or thoroughly corrupt your soul. I know it's not all congregants. That's why I never trust organizations, only individuals. Axios has reached all the companies and organizations for comment. So, yeah. No surprises there. And you would think that, like, after finding all this, and this isn't news, by the way, like, none of this investigation is news. We've known this for quite a while, and, like, the fact that they can actually put it onto official record, and there isn't going to be any type of, like, this should spark immediate legislation. In any normal and rational working government, this would spark immediate legislation, but, One thing I learned as a fundie, it's about money and power ultimately, just like everywhere else. There's no reason to believe these companies. And in a just and rational world, this would be more than enough, in my opinion, to start talking about nationalization of these companies. And basically removing this altogether, nationalizing this entire industry and saying, you know what, this is done. we're going to start the necessary move away from fossil fuels. You guys you're just not going to be a part of this. The privatization of this has led us to where we are. But I don't expect any calls for nationalization to happen anytime soon, but in my opinion, this would be more than enough. Threats and harassment of election workers have risen, poll shows. More than a third of surveyed local election officials have experienced threats, harassment, or abuse due to their jobs, according to a new poll released on Wednesday. Today, 38% of local election officials reported mistreatment in the poll from the Brennan Center of Justice at the New York University School of Law marks an 8 percentage point uptick from the survey's 2023 edition. The most common manner of receiving these threats occurred in person or over the phone. I have bugs! Oh no! I need to move ASAP. Poll workers and their colleagues aren't only worried about themselves, but about a quarter of those surveyed said they're concerned about their family or loved ones receiving threats or harassment in future elections. In response to safety concerns, local election officials are leaving their job. 27% of respondents said they know one or two local election officials who have resigned over concerns about their well-being, almost a 10 percentage point increase from the 18% who said the same in 2023. High turnover seems likely to continue. Almost a quarter of local officials will work their first presidential election in 2024, and 20% said they're unlikely to continue serving in the 2026 midterm. And Republicans are also trying to reduce funding for these people they're having their constituents to harass. Yes. Yes. And it's beneficial for them to have the election institution, the way this works, be in chaos. It benefits them because then they can jump on that and say, this is why we can't trust the results. So this is by design. You are correct. 62% of respondents also voiced concerns about political leaders engaging in efforts to interfere in how election officials do their jobs. It's a charged issue this election season. No, it's not. There's nothing. The only people who are making this a charged issue are Republicans. That's it. This is like the most like mundane thing. You just go in there, you check your thing, you give it to the poll workers do their thing, and that's it. Results are tallied and reported. End of story. As prosecutors in former President Trump's ongoing trial aim to convince jurors that hush money was election interference, Trump has also been indicted in 2 election interference cases, one at the federal level and one in Georgia, for his actions following the 2020 election. The Brennan Center for Justice conducted the poll from February 23 to March 28th with 928 respondents. There is a margin of error of plus or minus 3.1 percentage points. Yeah, so the threat of political violence is something that that is no doubt a extreme concern. It is a very big concern. It's one thing to watch what happened on the 2020 election, but I've got a feeling that 4 years of this, because it's one thing, President at the time, President Trump was saying that, if I don't win, we're talking like months before the election. The dude was talking about how it was going to be rigged, the mail-in ballots, yada, yada, yada. He was priming the pump that ultimately, and that was just months. That was just months of priming the pump. That's, if I don't win, it's rigged. If I don't win, it's rigged. The Democrats are trying to use mail-in ballots to cheat or whatever. That led to January 6th. That led to the insurrection of January 6th. Now we're talking years of the same thing. The election was stolen. The election was stolen. I'm being persecuted for it. They're interfering by persecuting me, the presumed candidate. Like, man, I don't know exactly the simulacra. He was talking about it for months, like in September, maybe even earlier. I think I did a video on it like in September, like months before, maybe even earlier. But yes, exactly correct. He was talking about this for months. Now we're talking years of the same thing over and over and over again, and pouring gas on this by saying, look how they're persecuting me, and they're trying to take your voice. Oh, I'm sorry. You meant the 2016 election. Yeah. You're right. He did. I'm thinking the 2020 election. But yeah, you're right. He said that even after he won, he said something to the effect like, "Oh, well, I should have won by a bigger margin, because illegals went to vote for Hillary Clinton or some nonsense." I remember him making a statement like that in the 2016 election. But yeah, he did win the 2016 election, so we didn't see anything in terms of like January 6th. But the same story in 2020, for months before the election. He was talking about the mail-in ballots and how they were going to cheat and yada yada yada, and he lost. And those, his cult members took that and did the insurrection. So much so that they were prepared. Not just planned, but they were prepared to take it further. They just didn't act on it, thankfully. So now I can only imagine how primed these people are, these cult members are, after hearing this for years and years and years at this point. That these Democrats, they're trying to steal your voice, they're trying to steal your country, and they're persecuting me, yada yada yada. That's a huge concern. That's a huge concern if it ends up being the case that that Trump loses by in a close election, which ultimately is going to be a close election. No doubt about it. But if Trump loses, these people are going to I think the possibility for political violence from these people is much higher, and I think it might be more extreme if they're like threatening election officials, like poll workers and poll like local election workers. Like, man, we're 6 months out. Oh, hold on. Breaking news, folks. You know what? I'm going to have to take this back. It seems like there are some outside agitators at the university protests. I'm sorry, folks. I'm gonna have to take that back. There apparently are outside agitators in the universities right
my
now.
name's Tom Morello, Rage Against the Machine, Audio Slave, and various other stuff. I'm here at CSUN today. This is the site where Rage Against the Machine played our first ever show in 1991 at a lunchtime concert. I have returned to play a lunchtime concert as they're opening the CSUN encampment to free Palestine and to end the horrific war crimes going on there that are funded by our government. It was a great day. People came out. These young people are changing the world. And it's done in the spirit of peace and brotherhood and solidarity. And it's May Day, so there's no better place to be. My name's Tom.
Based. It boggles my... Yeah, the very violent... Look at all the violent protesters. It boggles my mind that so many people follow such diaper-shitting, whiny, know-nothing failure. They just endlessly feed his ego and his wallet. Yeah, I mean, it's a cult. It's a cult. It's a cult. It's a cult. There's nothing more to say to that. Doesn't make any sense because there's no point. There is no sense. There is no logic. There isn't something that we can dissect there. You know, at this point, at this stage of the game, there's literally nothing, nothing to dissect here, right? In any case, based. Thank you, Tom Morello. That's cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, if you let them be, these protests have been largely peaceful. Sometimes counter-protesters attack and police always escalate. Yep. That's right. They have videos on protesters anything to kill all the Jews to start police attacks on the protesters. Yeah, not surprising. Not surprising. Not surprising, Footlong. Not surprising at all. And then to have like the audacity to say that like, oh, these people are you know, making Jewish people uncomfortable on campus. Yeah, okay. Now that's a celebrity I can get behind for POTUS. Nice, he's wearing an IWW hat. I just noticed that. If I recall, it was a video from Texas. That's cool. He's wearing an IWW hat. Cool. Sorry, that just came up on my feed, so I had to share. That just came on my feed. That was pretty cool. Nice. Good job, Tom Morello. Always been a big Rage and Rock fan. Based. Anyways. Sorry, I saw that. It was pretty cool. All right. Folks, I gotta head out. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hasser, for modding the chat. I appreciate it. Thank you, Footlong, Cognizant, the Simulacra, for mixing it up in the chat. Echo Wrestler Dragon, thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it. I think I got everybody. Carpet Packs, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. $420 in the West Coast. Well, happy 420 over there. Perfect timing then. Perfect timing. Folks, if you want to support the channel, there are many different ways to support the channel. Like so many of you that have done so, please continue to like the stream on the YouTube. Thank you. I see you guys. I see you on the YouTube. I appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe. If you're on Twitch, make sure you follow the channel if you haven't done so. It really helps us out. Consider checking out the different ways to support us, and you can also check out the merch store, including the merch store, by typing exclamation mark merch. And if you want to join, Raid and Bake, exactly. If you want to join the Discord, you can hit exclamation mark Discord. Jesse James, welcome. Thank you. I appreciate you stopping by, and I appreciate you lurking. Yeah, I like that. The edited emote. Consider joining the Discord. We do movie nights and whatnot, and you get channel updates, so that's cool. And there's also a plethora of friendly people there. Folks, I gotta get going. As always, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya! All right, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.